City of Stevens Point Redevelopment Authority meeting, recorded October 14, 2025.
It's 3 p.m. I will call the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Stevens Point to order. The planner will take the roll.
Schleiss.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Kneebone.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Kemeter.
Here.
Laddick is late. He should be joining us later. And then Barrett.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Good. A couple comments before we get going. There was a issue we missed on the agenda over here where typically we have you sign in to make comments if you wish, and that was not there, so I'll accommodate that a little bit. Basically, I don't know if we're going to make any decisions today. We've got the 3 projects we're going to be taking a look at. We're going to look at some stuff in closed session dealing with some of the negotiations on it, so we may or may not have a decision today. The other thing is once we have a direction, and by the way, none of these all have their final numbers and everything else together, so you can't make a final decision there. But anytime we do have a place that we're going to be going, a type of a development, 1, 2, or 3, whatever it may be, I will schedule a public hearing, and at that point, everybody can come, make their comments, questions, or whatever. Once we go through the first, the 3 presentations, I will allow a short comment from people if they wish to make a short comment on it, and it has to be related right to these 3 developments, not anything with downtown or anything else, because this is the only thing on the agenda. So, not going any farther, we will go to number 1, introduction and review of targeted area master plan.
Thank you, Chairman. So I just wanted to remind our the Redevelopment Authority and those in the audience, the City of Stevens Point did adopt a targeted area master plan in 2024, and that plan was updated in 2025 to revise some of the Shopko targeted area, or the Shopko site of the downtown targeted area master plan, to relocate the transit center to the northern portion of the project. And the plan does call for a combination of residential and commercial uses within the Shopko site, a small park, and the downtown business improvement district, I believe at that point in time too, and this was being approved, had been given direction or decided on a direction for the downtown to try to enhance downtown as a neighborhood and enhance downtown as a destination for the residents of the city and those outside of the city. Since the adoption of the plan, we've had public information meetings regarding the Shopko right-of-way design and trying to resolve concerns over the parking available within downtown Stevens Point and the Shopko site in particular. We have evaluated the use of the Shopko site and given at any given point in time on the Shopko site, we're looking at about 1/4 to 1/3 utilization of the parking spaces within the Shopko parking lot. The right-of-way plan that has been put together received some public comment, and the public works staff have made some modifications to that design. We should be hosting another public information meeting on that final design, but we're looking at somewhere between 120 and 135 parking stalls in the public right-of-way around the Shopko site. So hopefully most parking concerns about existing use are resolved. We believe that'll at least reach the demand for a lot of our commercial visitors to the downtown during the day and evening hours. So with that, we'll start to, if there are no questions about the targeted area master plan, I'd move us along to the next agenda items.
All righty, questions? Pardon?
Would you expand on that, if it's possible? Sorry.
Not a problem. Sorry. So for those in the room who are looking at the screen, there's one residential building at the north half of the Shopko parcels, the Shopko properties, labeled Building A-B, and then Building C, D, and E are along the southern half of the Shopko site, or the parking lot. What's called for in the plan is a combination of residential and mixed-use buildings along that southern half, or that parking lot. Our original request for proposals was released just for the southern half of the parking lot, but with a recent discussion or negotiation with a different developer on the northern half, the entire site right now is currently available.
And all this information is on our website, so if anybody wants to go on, they're more than able to do so. Number 2, presentation of a proposal from KCG Companies for the development of the Shopko parking lot.
And we have Megan Schutz from KCG online. Megan, I'd ask for you to unmute yourself, and I will go ahead and keep advancing our slides for you. So whenever you are ready, just let me know when to keep moving forward.
Excellent. Sounds good. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan Schutz. I'm the VP of Development for the Midwest for KCG Development. We are based out of Indianapolis. I am based out of Wisconsin, though, and actually am from Stevens Point. So I graduated from Stevens Point. We won't say what year, but I still have family in the area. So I'm familiar with the site, quite familiar. I joked with some of the city staff that I had my prom in the mall that this site used to be a part of. So KCG is a vertically integrated firm. We do development, design, construction, and primarily focusing on affordable housing with a mix of workforce and some market rate housing as well. My markets are, as I noted, in the Midwest, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Ohio. But as I noted, I'm based out of Wisconsin. So we can move to the next. I already said some of these things, so that's just an overview of the map and kind of the areas that we serve. Go to the next. So we do primarily develop multifamily housing. My priorities in Wisconsin are on affordable housing, primarily using low-income housing tax credits through the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority, WHEDA. I think you will hear that said a lot today, but we do pride ourselves on working with the communities that we come in to do work. I'm not a type of developer that is intending to fit a square peg in a round hole. We want to work with our local communities and make sure that what we're doing is meeting the needs of the community and is going to be an asset to the neighborhood and something that neighbors will be proud to live by as well. Next. So we've done a variety of work in Wisconsin, new construction, some adaptive reuse, some acquisition rehab work as well. And again, we have folks in-house for design and construction as well. Next. This is just a little bit of focus on our construction experience. Next. We recently partnered with Wynn Residential. They are a national property management firm that operates over 100,000 units across the United States. They have significant experience in affordable housing. And I think as a number of groups have found, those that are good at property management finding are rare, number one, but finding a partner that really that is their primary focus was an important piece for KCG. Next. Design I mentioned. There's a few of these shots are buildings that are similar in kind of product size. Some of them are from Wisconsin and not. Design, I already mentioned that we were able to do that in-house. Next. Just a quick overview of our Wisconsin team. So you've got myself, Luke Hellman, who has joined this presentation as well as our development analyst, Jen Jensen and Ross Kitchener on our construction side. Mike Thomas is on our architectural division, leads that team, and Julie is another member of our development team. So all folks that are focused on Wisconsin and our work in the state. So moving on to just a quick overview of the project that we've presented here for the Shopko parking lot. We have only focused on the southern portion of the site. I know it's a recent development that the northern portion might be part of the mix, but we focus on what the RFP was issued for. and trying to stay in line with some feedback from the city on what is consistent with the zoning expectations, along with the inclusion of commercial space. I'll talk a little bit more about the commercial space in a little bit. But what we've proposed is a 3-story building with 1-for-1 parking, off-street parking, surface parking. Underground parking is expensive and also opens up sometimes a can of worms for environmental conditions. So we were able to make this mix work with the parking on site, and then offering a connection to the proposed future park to the west of the site. I think that's a benefit not only for the neighborhood as a whole, but for the folks that would be living in this building. And that's just a basic site plan that we've got up. This is a first floor plan. We adjusted to, we originally came in with more units with an additional floor. We backed off on that and trying to find kind of a sweet spot in terms of financial feasibility, along with the wants and needs of the city and the neighborhood. So we've got a mix of residential use on the first floor and then commercial space, and then our residential amenity space that would front Main Street on the southern part of the building. And then just a quick overview on sources and uses. This is a pretty standard sources and uses that you will see for affordable housing in Wisconsin. WIDA utilizes 2 different competitive tax credits. One is a 4% credit paired with their state 4% credit. The other is a 9% credit. With this project being located in what's referred to as a qualified census tract, a QCT, we found that the 4% model was most advantageous financially, and also have analyzed scoring for a number of projects in the state and found that this location does score quite well for the upcoming WIDA competitive round. So you've got a mix of sources, a traditional first mortgage that's going to be somewhat limited because the rents that we will be charging are also limited, and then subsidized further with that state and federal tax credit equity. We've noted an amount from the city of Stevens Point for TIF, along with some deferred developer fee, which is money that we put back into the project. And then the remaining $900,000 that we've got plugged, we've got 2 potential sources, Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago and the State of Wisconsin Home, that could each be resourced. Those are both competitive resources that I'll talk about a little bit down the road here as well. All right. Just a few notes on the financing. Again, it's a federal and state competitive application. The unit targeting, so how we've set aside units to be affordable at different county median incomes, is a mix to score the most advantageously in the WIDA funding round, but also to create something that we feel fits the community. We have included a portion of the site at 80% of median income. This utilizes what's referred to as income averaging, which is a newer technique used in affordable housing, but allows us to hit that income range that is really more of the workforce housing that so many communities need. I would generally say we, myself in particular, underwrite things pretty conservatively. It's really important to me that we present something that is doable. We don't want to present a platinum version of something when we only have the finances to do the gold or silver, when gold and silver are still pretty darn nice as well. So we do have rents that are set, and we'll see that later, at what we feel is an achievable rent level. Rates for our financing that are consistent with somewhat lowering rates across the country. So we feel quite confident that what we're presenting is something that can actually get done.
May I interrupt you for just a moment in your presentation? If you go back a slide. The unit mix. I noticed in one of your earlier slides, you talked about specializing in workforce housing. Do you consider this unit mix to be workforce housing? And the reason I'm asking is, I'm wondering if we can reduce the 30% set aside for number of units and increase the 50 and 80%. So I'd like your response to that.
Yep. So right now, yes, to answer your question, I actually consider all of the set-asides to be workforce housing. I think it's become a trend that we call anything that's got some sort of limited rent or income levels. We go through, we don't want to call it low income because that sounds bad, and we don't want to call it affordable because there's just this kind of the vibe that it doesn't sound like what it is. But what affordable housing and what we're proposing here is providing housing for people who actually live and work in the community. As far as the targeting, right now the targeting is set to maximize the scoring that WIDA requires to be competitive and to ensure the best possibility of receiving the tax credits, along with the soft funding additional applications that we will be submitting. So this is the mix that gets us there but maximizes on our end our income, which is still important, because that's how we're able to generate as much of a first mortgage as possible. But we, at the bare minimum, have to be 60% at 50%. So 60% of all of our units need to be at 50% or below. We're just over that, but the sidebar of that is that this is to maximize scoring within the WIDA scoring criteria.
The reason I ask is some communities in Wisconsin have called workforce housing 80% of CMI and not the 30 and 50. And so
I think the technical term is 80 to 120 is what tends to be that workforce housing. I think smaller communities tend to see that 80% rents are actually closer to their market rate rents, and they really don't get to that 120% range. But I've got a slide further on, and actually in our original response listed out some of the recent jobs. I actually just went to Indeed.com to identify jobs that were available in Wisconsin, but we'll get down to those ranges here in a couple of slides as well.
Yep, I'm aware. Thank you for the interruption. I'm sorry.
Yep, no, you're good. Soft funds, to just expand on this a little bit, the two major soft funds that we would be pursuing, which are also competitive, would be the Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago Affordable Housing Program. That is up to $2 million. We've analyzed the site and are lukewarm, I would say, as to how competitive we think that funding source would be for this site. There were a number of projects last year that applied for AHP funds after getting their tax credit award and were not successful. So that's one reason why we look to put together a package that we think will work for a variety of additional sources. We have used the $900,000 mark, which is $900,000 to $1 million is about the range that we can get for the state of Wisconsin home funds. Those are a lot more accessible and achievable. Right now, there is a Buy America, Build America requirement associated with home funds that can increase a project cost. So it eats into really how much you're earning or sourcing the project. But there is current legislation that's being considered to address those issues with the BABA requirements. And then I just added two other options that don't directly impact the site, or one that doesn't. The WIDA infrastructure grant could be something really interesting for the city to look into for some of the roads and other infrastructure work that are being contemplated in redeveloping this site. And that can be done in partnership with a project that's benefiting affordable housing. So we would be open to working with the city to possibly look into ways to offset some other costs for getting the site to a usable, and the site as a whole, right, the center point area. Rental assistance, there also are some options for utilizing and achieving rental assistance more specifically in those most deeply targeted units. It is more advantageous for us to do that after the WIDA application. That allows us to increase our support a larger first mortgage. And obviously we would have further discussions with local CDA options for rental assistance as well. And then one other topic just of note, because this project is located in a qualified census tract, it has the benefit of being able to take advantage of what's referred to as a community service facility. Essentially what that means is that if there is a commercial use that benefits low to moderate income individuals or families, tax credits can be generated on those construction costs to help offset the cost of creating that space. So that allows something to get built for less than, say, if it was a child care center, they can offset some of their costs, let's say 25%, that's just rough math, versus going and building their needs elsewhere, not part of a tax credit project. So there are some financial incentives that can definitely benefit a potential user in this commercial space. And I know there have been a few of those options shared with us that I think would be a good fit and qualify as a community service facility. Our team and myself specifically has extensive experience creating spaces within housing to create a little bit more than just housing on the site. I have done work that includes a child care center on the first floor, a grocery store, municipal libraries, nonprofit office space. So there is some opportunity here to bring in a user of that commercial space and have them have less of a road to get to raise funds or finance their portion of that space. So that is something that we are interested in for the use of the commercial space on the first floor. And these are just some more details about county median income. That's just telling you kind of what the cutoff is by either a 2-person household or a 4-person household. So that's the total income in that space. So really looking at, a family of 4 at the 80% could be making a combined income of $70,000, or up to 2 people, and a 50% could be at right around that $40,000 range. That could be 1 person working, 1 person not. And it's all based on income levels and the number of people in the units. But some of the jobs that we had shared in our response, you will find folks working at the Point Brewery that are making $54,000, registered nurses that are making $54,000, 4K teachers that are making $48,000. So the range of folks that qualify and are truly, to kind of go back to the conversation about workforce housing, if you were to have a single mom that was a teacher, they would qualify under the affordable housing guidelines that are laid out here. So it's just it's an important piece to ensure that people have access. And I think in Stevens Point, we're seeing, right, there's a lot of older housing stock. and the newer housing stock has been either a focus on age restrictions. So for senior housing, we're proposing family housing here, so no age restrictions, or a stock that's older, right? So the goal here would be to provide a housing choice that's new, quality, decent, and affordable. And then this is just some more details on the specific unit mix that we're proposing. What you will see is that there is something for everyone. So at each number of bedrooms, there is a mix of those based on the 30, 15, 80% of area median income. You'll see the 30% are a little heavier on the one bedrooms just because we tend to see more individuals who qualify for those units being singles that might be on SSI or SSDI and a more limited income. And then the rents that you see are somewhat dictated by rent limits. We are a little more conservative on our 80% rents to be a discount to market rate. We wouldn't rent units if our 80% rents were higher than the market. But these are all and will all be further supported by a market study if we were to move forward with this project. Then just a few additional project notes. We would be building this project to being either Enterprise Greenbelt Homes Gold Plus or the Enterprise 2020 Green Standards. WIDA does have a strong priority for projects that incorporate green building techniques. It's also something that allows our project to operate as efficiently as possible, which benefits us as owner, but also benefits the end user of the residents that are living in the building. We do have increased universal design standards throughout the project, not necessarily saying that all of the units are type A handicapped accessible, but just features that make every unit a little more easy to use for folks that might be living there that wouldn't bother you if you didn't need it. And then for some of the other funding, we would be setting aside probably about 20% of the units for households where one family member had a disability. Again, those tend to be more in those 30% units. So the mix of the deeper targeting allows us to provide units for folks that are not only on a limited income, but also might have more specific needs for finding housing to accommodate their individual needs. And I went through that quick, but that got a little funky, sorry. I guess I will pause for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Oh, sorry.
I have one question. Thank you. Just looking at your financial sources, do you have any money at all that you're actually going to put in a project, or is it all grants and borrowing from lenders?
Well, so through affordable housing, we do have a portion of our fee that's being deferred. We also guarantee this project and operate it as affordable for at least 30 years, and are personally responsible for guaranteeing the construction and operation of the project through the initial 15-year compliance period. So we do make professional fees for our design team, for our development team. A portion of that developer fee is deferred, which means that remains in the project until it can be paid out through the project. But the investment component, so it's different than a typical market rate development where you might have your debt and your equity, and the equity is coming from whomever. The equity here comes from your tax credit investor, who is an owner on the deal for the 15-year compliance period.
Other questions? Mary?
This is just total curiosity. I was raised in Monona, and I wondered where Meadowlands is. Is that Cottage Grove, Blooming Grove, McFarland?
Meadowlands is on the east side of Madison. That's just a little east of the interstate off of Milwaukee.
Okay, gotcha, thanks.
Yep.
Questions?
I know exactly where that is.
All righty, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing. Question on the ownership. How long does your firm maintain ownership of these properties? And give me some examples of what's typical for you.
So the minimum requirement is 15 years. And at that point, we are required to maintain affordability through 30 years in Wisconsin. We are a younger company, so we have been around for 10 years. So everything that we've built, we're still a part of. But we're committing to at least 15 years of ownership and 30 years of affordability.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? All right, number 2 presentation. Presentation of proposal from Commonwealth Development Corporation of America.
If y'all wouldn't mind taking the podium, there's a clicker up there, but if there's an issue, you can all just yell at me to advance the slides.
All right, paper copies in there. My colleague Sam just has a handout of the presentation for you guys here as well, just making things a little bit easier to follow along.
Thank you.
All right, starting off, my name is Tyler Sheeran. I'm with Commonwealth Development. I'm our managing vice president. And today I have Sam Warschauer as well on our team, one of the development associates. But would like to start off and thank you all for your time and this opportunity. Certainly. Okay. So Sam will start us off and talk a little bit about Commonwealth as a company.
Yeah, so Commonwealth was founded in 2001, more of a mom and pop shop to address, affordable housing needs in our backyard in Wisconsin. And since 2001, we've grown nationwide to be 125 developments with over 8,000 units. Our leadership team of our 2 principals and our president of development have over 80 years of combined tax credit experience. And back in 2020, it was named the best affordable housing developer in the USA by Build Review. And kind of since then, it's been recognized in the top 30 U.S. affordable housing developers by Affordable Housing Finance, and every year that the data is available. And then it is the largest woman-owned affordable housing developer in the U.S. Just a little bit more on the team. So we, have some success in the state of Wisconsin specifically and nationwide. So about 30% higher success rate in securing those tax credits compared to the national average. We've received low-income housing tax credit award in Wisconsin every year for the past 10 years. And we've developed 70 projects, creating almost 3,800 units within the state. And then, like I said, it's the 2 principals and our president of development in our leadership team, so I can let you guys read up on there. But we are vertically integrated, so we do have in-house construction, architecture, and property management. So just a little background on Commonwealth, and then I'll hand it back over to Tyler here to get more into the project specifics.
Yeah, so before we transition here into the capital stack, as Sam had mentioned, Commonwealth presents the luxury of being vertically integrated. And what that means is not only are you working with Sam, myself, and other development team members, but we also have in-house construction, architectural design, and property management staff, all of which is based down in Middleton, where Sam and I are. So you get a little bit of in-house integration that other third parties don't bring to the table. And so ultimately that allows us to be your point of contact throughout the life of the development, and ensuring that we are monitoring this well as in beyond after the asset has stabilized. But transitioning into the capital stack here. This is a LIHTC deal. We are proposing pursuing the 4% credits with the state paired there as well. In addition to the first mortgage or the long-term bonds, we are seeking Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago AHP funds and home funds from the Department of Administration, both of which are sources that Commonwealth has had great success with in securing over the last couple of years, and feel confident in our ability to secure those. Additionally, we are targeting a CDI grant from WEDC, which again is a source that we are very familiar with, and have actually worked with Melinda Oosterberg, the regional director from WEDC, and a project just north right now in Wausau that's under construction, so familiar with her team. And then also want to point out the deferred developer fee. That represents about 20% of the fee that Commonwealth would be entitled to. And so our efforts there are to put as much skin in the game as possible, because to your point, sir, that is our skin in the game here. And so we try to leverage as much as we possibly can. The one stipulation on deferring fee is that it has to be repaid within 15 years. So that figure right there stretches the deferred fee out to 13 years, leaves a 2-room buffer, but definitely demonstrates that Commonwealth is in this deal and an invested partner. And then from there, transition up to the request from the city. We really view those as the last dollars into the project and simply requesting what we need to ensure the project can move forward. But as you can see here, we are trying to leverage as much as we can at both the federal and state level to ultimately ensure that the request from the city is not burdensome. All right, unit mix. This is an income average deal. We understand that there was a priority on the city side to see more 80% units, in response to the initial submission that Commonwealth had proposed. The biggest reason behind this unit mix is strategically designing it to be competitive with WIDA for the tax credits, but also through the Federal Home Loan Bank to ensure that we can secure that $2 million that we're looking for. Because if we move some of those 30s or 50s up towards the 80% threshold, we would run the risk of not being competitive for that source. And then again, following that theme of the city dollars being the last in, that brings the request from $1 million up to $3 million, which is obviously a very big ask. So there's some strategy behind that, and similar to the other proposal, in that we need to be competitive with the state criteria. On the design front, I will say this is where a lot of our team's effort went in on the front of this project, in reviewing the RFP and understanding the desire to see the south side developed. That is where our efforts were focused. So starting off, we're looking at 47 units in a mid-rise building, 3 stories with elevator. And then all along Main Street, we've had about 4,500 square feet of both community service facilities, CSF space, in addition to some resident space and leasing office. This would be featuring the WIDA green requirements as well. But the biggest thing we kind of focused on here is understanding what should be the design of this proposed development. And sitting down with our architects, kind of came up with this concept of what we deemed to be kind of this historic modern appeal, if you will. Understanding you have the north yards in close proximity to this development, which is a very gorgeous development, but certainly more of a modern aesthetic. But all along Main Street, as you guys are all very familiar with, you have the typical 2-story brick buildings. And so we tried to kind of bridge the gap between those and thought that this design kind of serves that purpose with the large brick all throughout the facade. And then in addition to that, aside from the aesthetics appeal, we really wanted to promote a sense of community with this development. And so what we've done is front load the building along the sidewalk. We have balconies and patios, in addition to all the commercial space along Main, which will feature storefronts, windows, which would blend in with all the offices right across. So it's really kind of creating this vibrant sense of community that seems to kind of really fit and ultimately be a bridge between what is currently existing in this area. Transitioning to the site plan here now. So again, in mind of how can we make this development fit the needs of the community? And so what we've done here is inlay our building directly with the proposed area that was outlined for this development to ensure that we can allow for future expansion for both commercial uses and even potentially some more residential housing to the north. But really wanted to kind of align with the city's comp plan that Chris had highlighted to begin the meeting, and really kind of take this first step forward, if you will, in proposing a development that we think is substantial size and something that can make an impact. But we also understand that this is a large tract of land in a city, and this is a big change for everyone, right? And so view that taking one step at a time with a more medium-sized development is the best approach. Hence the 47 units we're looking at. We have 30 surface stalls currently slated. I know the comp plan had kind of tentatively called for some on-street parking. Obviously, that's subject to further discussions and approval and things like that, but the preliminary comp plan did call out about another 19 stalls, give or take, so ultimately ensuring we would have that 1-to-1 ratio. And that's what I have there. Chris, I think we can kind of skip over this one. I know there's already a fair amount of discussion on incomes and jobs. The biggest thing that Commonwealth believes sets our proposal apart from our competitors is the community service facility space, and both our knowledge and the tenant we have aligned up. So as previously mentioned, there's about 4,500 square feet reserved for non-unit space, if you will, along Main Street. Of the 4,500, we have carved out 3,000 square feet, which will be slated for a daycare facility. And the tenant of that daycare would be the UW Stevens Point, expanding their current offerings. Not only does and I should take a step back. So Commonwealth does have this model in play right now on a development that's under construction up in Oshkosh, which features a similar size footprint of about 3,000 square feet that will be reserved for a daycare space. So we have real-time data and knowledge of what that requires to implement into a development from the development side with Sam and myself, from the design side and conforming with the Wisconsin Department in Child and Families Code 251, and also understanding the constructability of these spaces, as they're very unique. They're not, they don't align with the units that we do every day. And so that was certainly a learning curve, but great to kind of see that real-time model, and definitely something that our team is more than capable of advancing here. But other than that, I had touched on UW Stevens Point being a tenant, and ultimately believe that with Commonwealth's expertise in the low-income workforce housing sector, bringing on, what is honestly a staple within the community of the UW Stevens Point team, I think this would set this development up to have two really strong horses and be a development that the community is really proud to see move forward, and ultimately a place that a lot of people can call home. That's what we have.
Questions of the commissioners?
Just a quick question, Mr. Chairman. On the Oshkosh corridor project, you've got some exterior outdoor play areas for the daycare.
Yep.
I don't see an allowance for that here. Would that be required?
So that is, there's, on the site plan does not call for an outdoor facility.
Right.
But in the sources and uses, the number that is depicted in the hard construction does factor in the build out, as that will be a cost of Commonwealth's and not for the university.
Okay, but is there space on the site plan for that?
There is not for outdoor play area, no.
Is that something that's required, or is indoor sufficient?
Indoor is sufficient. We could consider an outdoor area. It just would obviously then require us to take back some of the parking. So if that's something the city is comfortable with, yeah, it's kind of a trade-off there.
Okay. All right. And then same thing with parking. If you were to try to get one-to-one on your own site, you'd have to expand the footprint a little.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
They're actually close to that park, so maybe the city would work hand in hand, but well, that's a whole other matter.
Dave?
And one comment, you had mentioned that this wasn't your typical design. Can you tell us more about what your typical design would be and what advantages it would have?
Yeah, so the brick facade like you see here is, I would say, atypical of an affordable housing development. For example, the Oshkosh project we alluded to just kind of has brick along the first band, but I think even as you could see in the Berkshire development, I mean, there's just simply not a lot of brick in here just because it's very expensive. So typically you're seeing a lot more of the vinyl or the fiber cement boarding. And so what we're doing and leveraging all these sources is trying to put a product online that's a little bit higher quality. It's going to be more legwork on our end to go get those dollars secured. But again, at the end of the day, I think this gives the aesthetic appeal that is fitting for downtown.
Okay, so it's more aesthetics, it's nothing with actual design of the housing units or the building?
No, so I mean, the units themselves are going to be, I would say, what the standard quality of ours with LVP flooring, stainless steel appliances, Energy Star, marble countertops, things like that.
Okay, so it's just aesthetics of the exterior?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Other questions of the commissioners? John?
Getting back to the ownership question again, since you're relatively new, young firm, I assume that you still own most of the projects?
Yeah, I mean, so we've been in operation since 2001, so we certainly have assets that have passed that 15-year window, and right now it's our ownership group stance to retain all of those assets, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, as it's our desire to continue to build our footprint in the state, so it'd be kind of counteractive to be here proposing new projects and then selling ones behind closed doors.
Thank you.
Other questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Agenda item number 4, presentations of a proposal from Volker for development of the Shopko site.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Redevelopment Authority. My name is Travis Fouchold with Volker Development. What I'd like to do here is just touch on Volker, who we are, what we do, touch a little bit, on the project, and kind of fill in our project in comparison to the ones that have been previously discussed. But Volker Development's been around just over 20 years. We are very similar in the sense that we develop LIHTC and workforce projects here in Wisconsin, but all over the country as well. We have almost 30 projects in Wisconsin, but our mission is to provide high-quality housing to better places and people. And we have, over the last 20 years, developed a number of projects, both senior and family, across a variety of product types. So we're proposing a product here that we've done time and time again, but over the last 20 years, we've also done adaptive reuse projects where we're utilizing the historic tax credit program to bring new life to a school or a church or an industrial building. And then we also have a number of projects that are townhome cottage, duplex style construction. But all of these projects that we've done in Wisconsin are managed by us. And a number of them have a supportive housing program with services to kind of cater and provide case management to a residence that might be at 30% AMI to ensure they have the resources they deserve to live an awesome life and to progress up and out of the affordable housing program. So we are a little bit different than the firms you've heard earlier. We are not vertically integrated, but we do have a property management team that has legal, IT, compliance, finance and accounting, and asset management as well. So where we are the best property manager for our residents, for the community, we'd like to be the property manager to offer control, but we have projects in Washington or in Oregon where we're not the best property manager for the residents, for our neighbors, and for the community. So we do a mix of both in-house and third-party property management work. But to touch base on the particular project, we're looking to propose exactly what the city is looking for in terms of the Shopko redevelopment site. The only change we've really made on our concept is eliminating some standalone retail in exchange for community garden, green space, stormwater. So what you're looking at is 4 stories of housing on the north part of the site, where we'll have amenity space, property management space, gym, community center, mail and package rooms. And then on the south part of the site, you're going to see 2- and 3-story mixed-use housing with some retail on the bottom floor. The area that you see in yellow, we have 16,000 feet of retail to offer, space to create Portage County, an arts nonprofit that's been looking for space, and what we'd like to do is offer, a build out and a white box space for that group to occupy once the project is built. And then, as Tyler mentioned, we've also have 6,000 square feet for the university's child care center to claim those community service facilities and points with WIDA, but also to provide, the design of project that the city's been looking for. So we'd be taking on the park and that the community garden space that's in green as part of our project. And so what we have is 180 units taking on all of the buildings across, both the north and south parcels, if you will. We have 181 garage parking stalls. Those would be underneath the building footprint. And then we also have 90 surface stalls as well. So providing an abundance of parking for our residents, and then also have 15 stalls for community or those retail users. But our unit mix is 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms at a number of set-asides to provide a range of housing types for all the employees that might be working or looking to work and live in Stevens Point. Our technically a family project as WIDA considers it, but we'll find ourselves with seniors living on site as well, as there will be no age restrictions, but are open to senior housing too. So we are flexible, but we're looking to provide and design a project that everyone is excited to call home, that has a ton of indoor and outdoor amenities. So Chris, if you go to the next slide, we'll have, mailboxes, parcel rooms, fitness center, storage lockers throughout, indoor bike storage, free Wi-Fi and community spaces, pet cleanup area and car cleaning stations in the garage. As Tyler mentioned, stainless steel appliances, LVP flooring, really quality cabinets, and then also a number of, outdoor amenities as part of our design. Chris, if you could go to the next slide too. This project will be and will incorporate a number of sustainable features to obtain the qualifications and certifications that WIDA is looking for. It helps us offset some of our, owner electrical expenses. So we'll have, Energy Star appliances, a solar system on the roof, water conserving features, faucets, toilets, shower heads, ion meters in all the bathrooms to detect leaks, so our property management team can go and address those. We'll have LED light fixtures throughout the building, light sensors, so lights will be dimmed or turned off if there's no occupancy, in the stairwell or in the hallways, to save on energy costs. We'll have EV parking stalls, Magic Pack HVAC units, and then high efficiency heat pumps and water heaters as well. Chris, here's some other projects that we've done that are similar, infill urban redevelopments. This project is one we've closed on this past summer in Madison on East Washington, where we actually redeveloped an old gas station. Chris, the next slide is another larger 4% project similar to what we're talking about today in Madison as well. This project is not closed, but received a recent staff recommendation from the county for $5 million. The other projects that you'll see here are not in Wisconsin, but are similar urban infill that capitalizes on the qualified census tracts that incentivize affordable housing. So these 2 projects that you're seeing here are ones we've closed on, started construction, and then recently completed in Cleveland. The next project you'll see is a project in Philadelphia that we've closed recently. And then this last project is a another urban infill project that started with a similar RFP outside of Denver. Those are all utilizing the low-income housing tax credits that we've been discussing. But sources and uses are all very similar, which across the projects you've heard. This project is much larger than the others and therefore commands a larger ask from the city. But otherwise, I would say this project doesn't depend on necessarily as many gap fillers. So with that, I know we're close on time to being finished, and this project is very similar to the others in terms of project team and product. But grateful for your consideration and here for any questions.
Commissioners, questions? Jen?
It's a large project. Would you do it all at once?
I would say we'd probably have to be creative with construction sequencing and phasing. I think we'd like to do it all at once as part of one, financing, closing. But just in terms of doing a lot of units on a tight site, would need to be creative with construction sequencing and phasing. So our intent would be to bring it all up on one.
So your application for financing and tax credits would include the entire project, but you'd phase construction based on availability and.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Dave?
I'm interested in the underground parking option that you have, because I don't think anyone else has proposed that, and we know parking is a problem here. So if you could just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, obviously we're very early in terms of third-party reports, understanding the soils, understanding environmental contamination. We've yet to drill geotechnical borings, but it's a amenity to our residents. It's an element of security and control. It is cost-effective in terms of keeping everything within one building footprint. So we are early, but if possible in the Midwest, where the soils allow for it, it's a design element we try to include where we can. It is something that we would be charging for, which is why some groups do and some groups do not do that, but I think it's a nice feature.
John?
Ownership question the same? What's your practice on ownership long-term?
Long-term owners and operators, I would say the other groups that you've heard from as well would also probably vouch and say at year 15, once that compliance period ends, there's an opportunity to perform a rehab on your own project to bring new life to an older building. That's a process we've done time and time again, and would look to hold these assets as long as we can.
Other questions? Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you all.
Alrighty, does anyone in the audience have a question or a statement on these three projects as presented? Anything else is not on the agenda, so that would not be an item that we would discuss.
We just asked Lori Rasmussen for Steve's point. I would just, can you go before? Oh, sure.
Name and address, please.
Lori Rasmussen, 2167 Elk Street, Stevens Point. I think all three had, great options and did a good job. In reviewing the options, when you go to make a recommendation, if you could consider asking all three in whatever features you like from all three, asking each one to have the opportunity, like say you like the underground or you like the energy efficient kind of thing, and it's not offered or represented today, if you could bring those back, give them the option to, all three of them, to bring those back to you, and with the costs, and for all three of them to offer that, and to share, do they have experience in those three? Do they have examples of those three? And then with that, if you can, have them with, you know how realtors walk you through a property on their videos? Maybe have them walk you through property with a video or the closest one they have, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mark Christensen, City Council, but I guess I was impressed by all three proposals. I think they all have there's some commonalities. I think there's some things that are unique about each. I think one of the things that the RDA has to take a look at is how each one fits into the overall plan for that property in the future too, and see which ones will be most likely to be beneficial or advantageous of getting future development as well. I do like the fact that they were looking at some of the community process of a child care center for the community facilities. I do think there is a need for that in this community as well. I do think that would also be advantageous in attracting people to that facility and help fill it more quickly as well because of that need. So, interesting proposals.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Christensen, this is obviously subject to the vote of the RDA, but I personally would like to see you stay for our conversation.
I plan to allow the elected officials to stay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like you to stay. Thank you.
Jenny Burton, 5718 Sandpiper Drive. I also was very impressed by the three presentations. I think we've got some great possibilities to partner with the city. I thought your idea of working with UWSP was fantastic. I like the inclusion of nonprofit space for use. But the thing that I like best of all, this whole project, is the idea of offering affordable housing. And it also, based on all three of you, said that it gives you more funding possibilities to offer this. And I think I speak on behalf of people. I work with Laundry Love, which gives people that are unhoused or low income free laundry services that people donate, and we volunteer to help them do their laundry. And I believe we're living in a time where the middle class is squeezed. I grew up, I had a stay-at-home mom. The quality of life for me was better than my parents. I can't say that for these days. The families growing up now are faced with a lesser quality of life. And there are more unhoused people because of the squeeze, not only on the middle class, but by the unhoused. And I see an effort by this group and the council to support giving everyone in the city a chance at a better life. So whatever amount, I would even say, let's jack up the number of the people that earn the least amount of money. That would be and I don't know how that works with the formula. It may mean you might have to get less money back, but you're helping people find a stake to begin the first rung of the ladder. Everyone can say, okay, let's see if we can provide housing for people to buy upper end housing, and then everyone else shifts up. But how do you get on?
Ma'am, could you keep to the agenda, please? You're going into all other things other than these three proposals.
I would like to see more emphasis on lower income housing. All three have it, and I applaud this body for saying this is important to us. I say, so in that sense, I think my comments are germane. I'm saying at least you're looking at the people. I don't see anything for the unhoused. Nothing. So that's another topic, true. But there's nothing there. There is nothing there. Why is that? What does that say about us as a city, as a people? Anyway, But thank you for doing this. I appreciate, I'm passionate about this. I work closely with some segments of the population that I used to say, those people are my neighbors. They're my friends. So it's an attitude. And I see an improvement in this board. I watch your meetings, all of them. I'm not up there, but I'm at home watching. And I'm seeing a change in your attitude toward those people. And I applaud you for that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? All righty, moving right along. Adjourn into closed session approximately 4 p.m. Hey, we're pretty close. Pursuant to Wisconsin Statutes 19.85, paren 1, paren E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session on the following. A, negotiating potential redevelopment of parcels 281, 2408, 32, 2950,
Former Shopko.
2969, 2804, and 2815. I kind of extended those or shortened them up a little bit. The former Shopko properties, plus B, negotiation of the sale of redevelopment authority property within TID 6. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, second. Jim? All in favor? Take the
Aye.
roll.
Schleiss.
Yes, aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Cooper.
Aye.
Kemeter.
Aye.
Laddick.
Aye.
Barrett.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Motion passes. I'd ask that anyone that is not an elected official of the city of Stevens Point.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.